Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something pretty unique.
Definitely unique. We've got this source. It's a commentary, but it's, well, completely satirical.
Right, really exaggerated. It's framed as a holy rugby showdown.
Yeah, sinners versus haters. And it starts off calling it a divine disaster.
So our plan today is to kind of unpack how this extreme humor, this religious hyperbole, works.
What's it doing beyond just being funny? Is it critiquing something? What are the insights hiding in there?
Exactly, this mix of rugby and what it calls spiritual warfare. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Right.
The commentator apparently sees Satan in every penalty. That's quite the starting point.
Yeah, it really is. And declaring rugby equals spiritual warfare. It just throws you right in.
So what's the effect of that, taking it to such an extreme?
Well, what's fascinating here is how it takes that, typical sports intensity.
Yeah, we all feel it.
Right, but it pushes it into this completely theological realm.
Yeah.
It sort of exposes how we sometimes dramatize things, doesn't it?
Turning a missed kick into
eternal damnation. Or, a linesman's mistake needing overnight Bible study.
Okay, yeah. It's funny, but it also makes you think about how we react to small failures sometimes.
Exactly. It holds up a mirror to that tendency to give mundane things this huge, disproportionate weight. Maybe even spiritual weight.
Eternal damnation for a bad kick. I feel like some coaches might secretly agree, but wouldn't say it out loud.
Yeah, probably not.
But it's not just the players' actions, is it? The satire also targets the authorities, the rules.
Right. The commentary mocks the rugby organization for wanting fair play.
And suggests what instead?
Suggests they should be using Bible verses instead of yellow cards.
Which is, completely absurd. What's the impact of suggesting something like that?
Well, this raises an important question, doesn't it?
Right.
What happens when you swap out official rules for these, divine judgments?
Yeah.
When a penalty alert screams, sinners, because the haters were obstructed, and it calls it clearly Satan's work, referencing Genesis.
Genesis 3.1, the sneaky snake, I saw that.
Right. It's not just a joke. It kind of highlights how rules can feel arbitrary, or how people might impose a sort of moral reading onto regulation.
Especially maybe to justify their own team's misfortune or something.
Exactly. Or their biases.
Yeah.
And it goes further, like calling a holy blockade a devil-approved move, or suggesting the haters should have a holy timeout for prayer instead of, and I quote, crashing into people like a possessed shopping cart.
Okay, possessed shopping cart is pretty vivid.
It is. It's all about constantly reframing normal game stuff through this extreme spiritual lens. It's satirizing that idea of divine intervention or favoritism in everyday things.
So, given this totally wild perspective, how does it actually describe specific game moments? Like, what happens when a player named Exodus messes up?
Yes. So when Exodus misses the kick,
Yeah.
and the ball apparently rolls into a holy mosh pit. Don't ask me what that is.
The holy mosh pit, right.
And a hater grabs it. The commentator just lays into the kick, says they hate bad kicks more than burnt communion bread.
Wow. Okay. That's specific.
Very specific. And then there's the linesman, James. He misses an offside call.
And the reason?
He probably skipped Bible study for Netflix.
Of course. Standard explanation.
Natural.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop there. He needs to repent, citing Zechariah 3.2, and needs to get his spiritual whistle back.
His spiritual whistle.
And it climaxes with the idea that the dominee's whistle is God's megaphone. The dominee being like a minister or pastor.
Got it. So the whole message seems to boil down to...
If you connect the dots, the satirical point seems crystal clear. Fewer sins, fewer penalties, more wins.
That's the gospel of rugby.
According to this commentary, yes. It really skewers that human urge to find simple, often moral explanations for really complex outcomes.
What a fascinating piece of commentary. This whole deep dive into the Holy Rugby Showdown, it really uses that extreme humor, that hyperbole, to give a totally fresh angle on rules, mistakes, even the sort of moral of the game. It critiques things sharply, but keeps it entertaining.
Absolutely. It shines a light on how we tend to dramatize the everyday, sometimes in quite ridiculous ways.
So to wrap up, maybe a final thought for you, our listener.
Yeah, maybe consider this. Where else in your everyday life do you see the mundane getting exaggerated like this, whether it's sports or politics or just, daily frustrations? How does recognizing that kind of hyperbole maybe give you a new perspective? Or perhaps just a good reason to laugh, something to think about?